Hey everyone, I'm Mark,
And I'm Alex.
and this is Final Stop for Final Fantasy Talks. Well, welcome everyone to the next episode in our Final Fantasy X walkthrough. We're really excited to be getting back to the story. We kind of had that small little break between the Blitzball episode and our kind of like side quest thing. We had a little bit of story in there with the Cavern of Stolen Faith, but main story here. I was thinking, man, after we did that episode 75 was the one where we left off in the story. Why didn't they just go straight to the far plane, right? Just call up Unaliska, be like, all right, well, you're here now. You're gone. So, hey, what's going on? And like, whew, need a little bit, guys. Just go on without me.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, soft.
I mean, that would be a good idea, though. Yeah, because hypothetically speaking,
Yeah.
right? I mean, she should be at the far plane, so
She should be.
yeah.
She's just floating there. You're like, so, how you been? No. All right. We are on the airship. We keep saying this because this is just the best quote, man. We love this quote, but it is the final showdown with Shin. I mean, it's the time. It's now.
I say, let's get this show on the road.
and
Such
and
a
if we
classic
progress
line.
after this, you don't hear that anymore. So we got to get it in while we can.
Yeah, that's true. So, I mean, yeah, if there's any errands that you want to run at this point, this is kind of the last time before basically, you go into that list and you select, already has basically highlighted its sin. This is the time that if you want to prep, this is the time to do it.
Yes, because once you start this, it's quite a long process. There's many bosses, many scenes, and there's time in between and all that, but obviously you will be stuck within that, and you won't be able to do anything else until you finish it off. We're figuring we're going to be finding Sin up in the air, right? We're on the airship. We're going to go after Sin somehow. So maybe something with ranged would be good, right? You might expect that. Like, yeah, okay, maybe some magic, maybe buff up Waka, get some, maybe a celestial weapon, which I did forget to say. We are going to go into Sin, obviously. Forgot to give the highlight of the episode, that is. We're gonna do the whole Sin thing. We'll get there. Then we're going to finish up with some celestial weapons. We're trying to still knock out some of that side content along the way. Maybe grab Wakas if you want to, and what's your go-to here?
Once you know what's coming, it's a whole different story. But first time, if you're playing this blind, I think you were kind of alluding to some good points there. You can kind of assume that it's going to be an aerial battle, that you're going to be using the airship and things
Sure.
like that. And so, like you said, ranged attacks is always a good thing. And really, I mean, I guess you would just optimize for maximum damage at this point.
It's Sin, right? It's like, yeah, we got to blow this thing up. Well, it kind of like, you select Sin, it kind of starts the scene, right? And maybe some things are said. Guys, there's a lot of story in this episode. We're going to try our best to get it correct, but we are going to definitely mess a lot of stuff up. But he goes over to like a keyboard and he's like, like he's like groaning to bend down one foot and to push a button to turn on the Hymn of the Faith.
Yeah, I know. He goes and he presses a button. It's like,
It's like, all right, man. Dang, arthritis.
The other thing I love about this too, as it's playing, you hear it and it's like very church-like, right? The music, the Hymn of the Faith. It's
Yeah,
like,
it is kind of choir sounding.
Yeah, exactly. So that's going on, and at this point, it's like, okay, well, what's the plan now? How are we going to get inside of Sin? And he's like, well, if we can't get it in the mouth.
Yeah, dude. Well, dude, he keeps saying like the easy way, right? It's like, oh, what's the plan? Oh, we go in the easy way. Titus is like the easy way this, the easy way that, and no one's like, okay, yes, but how? It's like, you just said the easy way. What is the easy way, Titus? What is it, buddy? Sid kind of says the same thing, and Titus is like, well, if we can't go through the mouth, we'll rip open a new one. You with me? Okay, cool. So your plan's for us to be eaten by Sin. Great. Yeah, it's like, just open up, Dad. All right, we're flying right in your mouth. What?
Yeah, I know. I like to think it's like, how other way are we going to do it? The easy way, the metaphysical way. No, we're actually physically going to be eaten by Sin, apparently. I don't know how that works.
That's his easy way. It's like, it's easy, guys. We just drive into the mouth.
I guess so. But I also love Sid's line after that. He's like, ha, I like the way you think, kid.
He's all for it. Yeah, he wants to give him a new blowhole, Sid, right? And Brother's got a pretty good... Dude, we got to give it to him. He's been working on his English. He got it down, right? It's not bad.
Yeah, here we go with Brother. He's like, you Riku Gar. tried his best, but then of course Titus in his typical "will do."
All right, well, to begin this whole thing, we got to go out to the deck. So we go on out there. Literally sounds the exact same thing, but somehow they're hearing more people. They're like, hey, like everyone's seen and they got the message. It's like, guys, I don't hear any difference, but okay, like that's cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say it doesn't sound really all that different, right? There's like a slight variation, but everybody basically apparently turns into choir singers in Spira.
Yeah, if you went down and actually looked on the ground, you just see everyone sitting out there like the Ronso, hand on the chest. And they're swinging back and forth.
We can hear it like 15,000 feet up. Apparently.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we could hear it. Does Final Fantasy X not know we are flying? Why is there like we'll get to that in a moment here when we we'll just get that in a moment. Titus at this point though, he goes, "Hey Yuna," or something like that, and he whips out that sphere. Yeah. Remember the one we found on Gagza, like her will. He's like, "You don't need this anymore, do you?" You know, obviously she's panicking. She didn't even know she dropped it. How do you? But then he has it. How do you not know you dropped something like that, dude? I got pockets. And I knew if I had this giant half sphere orb in my sleeves or in my waist, I think I would notice when it was gone.
That's the thing I love. She checks her kimono sleeves.
Like, oh, they're not in there anymore?
Wait. Are they right here? Oh wait, hold on. I'm missing my half a pound orb.
Yeah,
it's like seriously, right there. Look at that thing. It's got to weigh at least half a pound. But yeah, she, like you said, she's all embarrassed. She's like, oh no, because of course she had that one part where she talked about Titus, and it's like, you are, I am, da da da.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and I just love, side note, you know, he throws it off and it's like, guys, there's ground below us, you know, someone's just like in Spira, just walking their dog, going to Luca to get a nice little hot dog at the stand and just gets clunked in the head with a sphere. And Titus, you just killed a man. What's going on?
Why couldn't he just disintegrate it like Trommel Guado did with the Giskel sphere?
Yeah, what the heck? Well, he didn't have those giant fingers, I guess. At this point, man, this is why the story is just, it's so inconsistent. So I guess Jet isn't, like, nice anymore. He was literally just chilling with us at Xanarkand. He's like, all right, you guys killed her, huh? All right, cool. Well, oh, hey, Sid, what's up? Yep, no, that's my boy. Proud of him. And now, like, literally 15 minutes later, he's like, all right, I'm gonna kill you now. I mean, like, come on, man. What the heck? Why can't he just let us fly into his mouth?
Cause he's gotta challenge his kid, man. He's gotta see what he's worth. Has he gotten any stronger? Are you ready to fight Sin at this point? Cause
cry,
we're about to find out. Yeah, he's got to test the crybaby.
Oh man, well, he does something. You know, the thing is, what we don't know anything about Sin still. You know, I mean, we know how its origins and all that, but like Sin as an entity and as like, you know, a powerful being, we have no idea what it's capable of. We've seen small things, but man, so this is like some new ability he's got. We've already kind of seen this like orbs force field thing around him. Well, that kind of like shoots out into, I don't know, like maybe 6 orbs or something. Like, I don't know how many it goes, maybe 8, but they all go in, you know, opposite directions across the earth. And it just like mows down just like a half spherical, just like half pipe through everything. The water's there, through earth. It's funny how the water's like that, but it doesn't flow down. I guess he's just parting the waters or something. I don't understand that.
It's this crazy scene, right? It's actually a really awesome, like, you know, we were going to say, there's so many cool FMVs coming up in this sequence here.
Yes.
Some of the most awesome visuals in the whole game. And yeah, it's like this cataclysmic attack that he does, almost like an overdrive. There was music playing too. There's like the music that was playing during the Guado attack on home. And when he does the orb thing, it just goes like completely still and silent. You see the party members on the deck of the airship, and Riku's just like, because like, what's going on?
Yeah, it's like, okay, dude, cool. So you can shoot some orbs. All right. That don't impress me much. No, I mean, but it's like, you're sitting there for a second. It's like, okay, so what's the big deal? But, well, man, he's a cheeky guy. Apparently that orb was lined with just like high explosives the whole way, because at the furthest points, working back towards the center, these giant explosions start going up in the water or, you know, in the earth or whatever. And it is hysterical. Yeah. They're miles and miles and miles out, right? I mean, it's like really far away. And it's like, oh, what's going on out there? Looks like explosions to me, huh? Let's wait till it gets really close before we just, I want to make sure. I don't want to leave prematurely. We got to make sure.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it is kind of funny because you've got Titus and Yuna on the deck of the ship, and they're just standing there watching this like giant explosion head their way. And then at the very last minute, it's like, all right, hit the deck, basically dive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's wild. I guess it doesn't really do much to us because we're still here, so it's kind of like Sin. Well, all right, dude, you did all this and it didn't even do anything, so cool. But
Yeah, it was a show of power, I guess, is what it
yeah, I
was.
guess be like,
He's flex.
look what I can do. Yes, and well, Sid saw some weak points, and so here we go. We're gonna be having to fight Sin. I mean, it's just what it is, and well, actually, kind of at this point, we don't really have a choice because it's pulling us in, right? It's kind of tractor beaming us to it. We're still just flying through the air and all that. This is pretty sweet. I mean, here we are. We're actually fighting Sin, like full circle from
Mhm.
Kilika when we first met it with the fin and it destroyed. And we were just like, whoa, this is like some insane, awesome power. Now we're actually going against this.
No, exactly. Come a long way in the story, and definitely got a lot stronger since Kilika. So hopefully we can actually fight him. It's like what you said, So we're getting pulled in. We're all standing on the deck. I like how they're like, I saw something shiny at the base of its fin. That must be the weak point, I guess.
Yes, a shiny thing means weak. So, yes, apparently there's
Yeah.
some weak points. Are they the most dangerous point? I don't know, but we got to take out the fins.
I saw a shining weak point, I guess. Something
Like, okay,
like
let's
that.
let's
So,
just attack
yeah.
that then. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt. They are making this up as they go as well. So sure, it's like, let's just start off by hitting its fins and see how that goes first, And so,
Yeah,
yeah, makes sense.
exactly.
And how nice of you, Yevon, to place those weak points for us. Thank you, man. Like, you summoned this bean and it's like, I'm gonna make it with weak points.
You basically get into the battle at this point, and it's really awesome. Actually, it's playing assault. Well, we basically assaulted Bevel to
Yep.
rescue Yuna that one time during the wedding. So it's a really really cool music. Nice change up from the typical boss music. But this guy's pretty tough actually. The Finns. So this one has 65,000 HP. It's really annoying because it does a bunch of counters depending on how far you are away. It's kind of like the Evray fight that we had before Bevel as well. It depends on you can do the trigger command to move closer. It takes a turn, and then Sin will be like, "All right, we're going in," or whatever.
Play to obviously your strengths, whatever you need to do. A few abilities here. You might not encounter some of these honestly, because really thing is it's got a really slow turn order, so it
Mhm.
does take a while to get back to its turn. It's kind of funny, just, obviously abilities in Final Fantasies, all of them, they kind of grow, and improve and stuff, but I don't know, there really isn't many abilities in all of Final Fantasies, kind of like negation, that removes all beneficial effects on the party members, but also harmful effects on the boss or, the enemy or whatever. Like, it's like a complete just cleanse of what we don't want, right? It's like, it's not even just,
Yeah.
oh, it just removes everything. No, I mean, it's like, it removes good stuff on us, bad stuff on it. It's like, well, dang, you just spend all the time buffing up and doing all that, and so I don't know, maybe
Kinda,
don't waste time
yeah.
doing that.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of broken, right? When you think about it. Imagine if your party had the ability to do something like
Oh
that. That'd
yeah,
be crazy.
that would be a
Um,
fantastic one.
but yeah, you're exactly right. You might just not want to even bother with status effects in this battle. It's really kind of just do as much damage as you possibly can. So it tends to use it'll gather energy at some point, and then the next turn will be Gravija, which will take away 3/4 of your health. So the main thing to think about with this, or to be aware of, is once he uses that, do not attack him, because if he uses the ram counter, then it's going to do like 1.5
Yeah.
thousand damage to the whole party, and it kind of does like a delay. It's almost like delay attack on the party as well, which is really really annoying. So just watch out for that. And then the other thing I would say that's notable about this guy is he's armored, which is really annoying. So if you're using Waka, you'll notice right off the bat, it's like attacking, one of the shelled enemies or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
So maybe a good idea to use a skill sphere to teach Waka armor break, or you can move forward and you can use armor break with Orin at that point.
Well, that's kind of it. So you take this one out. Some things will happen. We'll, of course, cover that in a second. But then you just go and fight the other Finn, and it's the exact same fight. So once you do both of those, your rewards, pretty nice. You get an HP sphere and a level 3 key sphere. So not too hard to actually get overkills at this point either, especially with all the Aeons and stuff
Yeah.
you've accumulated.
Yeah, I was going to say, so this is kind of the point in the game, too, where you start having to break the HP limit or the damage limit to be able to get overkills. So unless you've put in the work for those celestial weapons, you're probably going to have to go with something like Bahamut's Mega Flare, or maybe even Waka's attack reels. But I'd say it's really worth it, especially for that first one. I think it's the first one anyways.
It is,
because two HP spheres really hard to come by.
Yeah, and really good. I mean, really helpful. That's a total of 600 health. It doesn't sound like much, but especially right now it is. And yeah, I mean, Bahamut would be great. Anima would also be great. I got some huge updates on all that stuff. I'm super stoked. We'll get to that in a second. Each time you kill a Finn, Sid, after you kill the first one, you get the scene, right? Sid's like, I got this new weapon or something like that. It's like under some cloth or like some chainmail under the airship. Like, when did we get this? It's like, come on, man. This could have been helpful along the way.
Yeah, and the funny thing is too, it's kind of like the little spikes. It's like these javelins, almost like the ones that they were using on Operation Mi'ihen.
Yeah,
where they're like channeling the electricity through it and stuff like that, shooting like an arc of electricity at him. This is kind of the same thing. It's like all out of nowhere, it's got this freaking giant arc blaster.
Dude, it's like as long as the airship itself. You're like, okay, and he shoots off the fin, and you're like, awesome. So then you do the other one, and he shoots off that one. He's like, brother's just like calmly, he's like, it's kaput, it's done. Come on, man. Stupid Machina. Like, 2 shots is all you get out of it? And it's like, oh my gosh, guys, you didn't know you had 2 shots, but why didn't we just, like, I don't know, shoot Sin? Like, why don't we just shooting his fin joints? Man. Like, why don't we shoot his belly?
Had to go for the weak points. But yeah, I know what you mean. It's kind of funny. It's like, this thing has some serious tricks up its sleeve, though. I mean, it's got the airship,
it's awesome. So, unfortunately, you only get 2 shots. Because the gun broke, Sid's like, all right, we got to call this off. It's like, we don't have our guns. We're out of here. We're boarding. But Titus is like, no way, man. We're doing this. Every blitzer knows when you got the ball, you got to score. And he does his whole little head fist.
Yeah, he's like doing his confident thing, it's classic. Like, Titus has kept this up for the whole game, right? We had that little sad part, with Home where he found out about Yuna and all that stuff, but now he's like back to himself. He's like, all right, we got to do this. Like, we've already got started here. This is the funny part. It's like, so we're just gonna literally jump off the airship and I guess land on Sin and continue to fight, whatever.
Guys, I got my hand in my face right now. Do they not know what wind velocity is? You can't just jump off a ship, man. Like, you're gonna be, like, I don't know, probably a mile back by the time you're landing on Sid. Like, Sid's like, he's slowing down. He's like, he sees them land. He's like, oh, slows down, picks them up. No, whatever. We won't pick it apart. Spontaneous water breathing, jumping just completely across, going like 1,000 miles an hour in the air, whatever. Oh, man.
We had Shinra on board. He did all the physics calculations. It's all good.
He's just a kid, man.
He found out that if the velocity of the Enterprise is 10 meters per second, then that's,
exactly.
But yeah, I know what you mean. And then there's an interesting part here too. So after Titus, he has a line here. I think he says something basically. I think it's kind of going along with what you said, where you got to score. You have a compatibility scene here, kind of like the snowmobile scene at Macalania, where you're either gonna have Riku, Lulu kind of say something and go first, basically, right? Lulu's is hilarious because she jumps in and she's like, "A day with you is never dull," and then she just jumps off the deck. I forget what Riku says, but it'll be one of the two, I believe. It could even be Orin if you've got enough compatibility with him.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's really cool. I mean, yeah, it's the whole compatibility thing is awesome. And I think we are missing some things with this, but it's also intricate and can of worms. So we just, we won't dip into it, but definitely I recommend everyone go and watch the compatibility cutscenes and stuff if you haven't ever, because, gosh, man, we've been playing this game for over 20 years and, I hadn't seen those until we did this podcast to watch. I'm like, this is gold. I mean, and some of them you'll never see because it's just really, really hard to get some of their compatibility affections up.
Exactly.
All right, well, we are going to go to a short segment. I know we're in the middle, but, we got a long marathon. But actually, before we do that, I got to give you all an update. So, we've been doing the side quest stuff, and we went over a lot of things, and we kind of discussed the trouble I'm in, right, on some of these things. Like, it's just, I'm only using Yuna, Lulu, and Kamari, and some of this side content, you have to use other characters. For instance, what's his name in Baj? Gioscano, we got Titus, Waka, Riku. Now, we went over some possible ways of doing it, and I was hitting some roadblocks like Sperry Change. It still follows, like, the damage break limit rules, so that didn't work. So this is what I did, man. I had to get real creative here. Not too creative, but I did exactly what you said. So I went out, I caught enough monsters to get the Earth Eater, and then I went in and I stole... Gosh, I can't remember anything right now.
Gambler's Spirit?
Yes. Went in, stole 2 Gambler's Spirit, and so then I went in because it's a trio of quad 9s, right? So every attack does 9,000. I mean, dude, and honestly, if you didn't tell me this, I would have never even thought of that, right? I mean, this is something
Those overdrives are crazy.
I know, that's something I just would have never even thought of. And so I went in there, and well, I was still having difficulty, right? Because it was one-shot kill, all of them. It doesn't matter what attack you did. Riku's sitting with 300 health.
Yeah.
Titus 5, Waka 1,000. So I had to then go and I had to invest some items, man. I had to cheat a little bit too here, but I'll get to that. I had to customize first strike on both Riku and Waka because it had to be the first 2 turns. And so did attack reels, done. I was like, dude, this is awesome. He just Waka sits there and does, quad 9s all those times, and boom, 1-2. And that was just easy, I mean, that was just simply doing, because I'm trying not to cheat here, right? But at the same time, I want to do all this stuff. It's a challenge run, but at the same time for the podcast, I want to do it all, so that way I have all the content, and all that stuff. But the other problem,
that was good.
Going for Mage's Sisters, and I was texting you about this, was you have to capture all of the Gagazet monsters in order to get, I think it's like the Blossom Crown or something like that. It's one of the items needed. Unfortunately, with that are the water enemies in Gagazet Cave, and yeah, there was going to be no way. I mean, the boss, that was one thing, but these are different, especially with overdrives. They don't capture monsters if you kill them that way. So, I had to go ahead and just bend the rules a little bit. Those guys, Waka and Titus, they've been used just in some forced battles so many times. They actually had a lot of levels saved up. I had to use them, man. I had to go. Kamari was at the end of Waka's line near a bunch of health and strength, and defense. And so I went ahead and I had to use some more of my items. I had to use some of my friend spheres. I wasn't too happy about that, but popped them over there, got them enough so that way, like, Waka had like 2,000 health, and so it wasn't like nearly as good, but it was enough, man, that I was able to go in there. I captured them. I got the Mage's Sisters, man. I was so stoked. I was like, yes.
Nice. See, that's the thing. Sometimes you got to find ways around all of that. With those underwater enemies, too, another option for that could have possibly been like Death Strike or something on a capture weapon. It would be really annoying. You'd have to waste a bunch of items on a capture weapon, put on their Stone Strike or something like that.
Really cool. Had to get an update there. And so, yes, let's go ahead and get into our short segment. This time, we're going to do the least favorite battle theme. This was kind of a tough one because I don't necessarily dislike any of them, but let's go ahead. Let's have you start us off here, man.
There's a couple that you can't even actually use in this, which is interesting, right? Like, you couldn't do Final Fantasy 12 because that doesn't really have a battle theme.
Yeah, because we're just talking about regular battles, not boss battle or anything like that.
I'd have to say 13. Can't remember the name of that song. Saber's Edge? No, it wasn't Saber's Edge. Anyways, I can't remember the name of the regular battle theme for Final Fantasy 13. Not my favorite, gotta say.
It's definitely not towards the top for me. This might ruffle some feathers. Please don't hate me, but I don't particularly really like 7's. I don't like 7's battle theme too much. It was a pretty easy least favorite. I was like, yeah, it's 7. It's just kind of, I don't know, too battle-y. I don't know. I mean, that's kind of silly, but it's just kind of too battle-y for me.
I can just picture, like, I'm listening to it right now in my mind. I think we've all heard it so many times when you get, simultaneous with the sound of the battle screen, it's like da 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 na 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 da da.
And then the whining wah, 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 wah. That's what it sounds like to me, guys. That's what it sounds like to me. Yes. Yeah. I think that's also mainly that 7 is probably the Final Fantasy that I've grinded the most in over, my whole history of Final Fantasies, just endgame, getting them all the way up to level 99 and all that stuff. Because I don't really have a great track record in all the Final Fantasies of doing that towards the endgame, but 7 I have plenty of times. And so maybe that's why I'm just like, I'm so tired of hearing this. I have to mention my favorite, man. This is an easy one. 9. Dude, 9 is my favorite. I love 9's battle theme so much. 8's a close second, but 9, easy.
Yeah, I was going to say 100%.
All right, well, those were our least favorite battle themes. Let's go ahead and get back to Sin. We've taken out the fins. We've jumped on top of Sin. I guess we're on its head? I mean, who knows where on Sin we actually are?
Yeah, I think that's where we're supposed to be. I guess he has like a core You know, he's got another one of these shiny weak spots that we found somewhere on top of his head or something, like you
Yeah.
said. Yeah, we are basically forced straight into a battle here against kind of like that what that one boss looked like in Kilika when we found out about Sin Spawn.
Yeah, Sin Spawn. This name is Janaeus?
Take a stab.
Janaeus?
Janaeus, I'd say. Sin Spawn, Janaeus.
I don't know, man.
Good
What do you think they were thinking for with this? Because it's not a hard boss. It's really, really, really easy, actually. And it's kind of like, man, where this is on Sin. We just killed all these things, and then you fight this.
Yeah, it's a warm up, let's say. It's
Yeah, there you
it's a
go.
warm up before you get to kind of the more serious battles that we're going to be getting into. But you're right, this one is actually really easy, surprisingly easy. So very similar to the one that we fought in Killicat, has the tentacle stabby move, the staccato,
Yep.
whatever you want to call it. It's got the poison venom move. Also, it spits like poison onto you. But only 20,000 HP, weak to fire. Oh, and he will use Cure, and he'll do the whole shell thing below 50% health.
yeah.
But he has some serious weaknesses here. Slow is one, and this was one I thought was really funny. So you could actually even inflict this guy with zombie, and then
Yeah,
just
it's so strange.
use an X potion, or I guess use life 2 times.
Would
Bada
that
bing, bada boom.
not also inflict zombie on Sin, since it's attached? I don't know. Guess not.
I don't know.
I mean, it's just the fact that it's only got 20,000 health and weak to fire. You can pop off a couple fire agas, call it a day. I mean, super
Exactly.
easy. Double cast 2 of them, have someone attack it once, and that was that. So really,
And his attacks don't do too much damage either.
no, yeah, it's pretty. It's just the poison, just kind of the annoying poison to deal with. Once you dispatch it, though, you get, I don't know, it's just like a weak spot, but it's called Sin's Core. Yu Yevon. Usually you put cores in the core of the beast. I mean, it's like in the core. You put the core on the outside, man. You're not a very smart summoner.
This is like the exhaust portal
Yeah,
on the Death
it's
Star.
a Death Star
right?
situation.
Or something like that. It's a Death Star, exactly. It's almost like, oh, well, we had to have it for aesthetic purposes, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know.
But,
Not a smart guy.
yeah, regardless.
It's very similar to the Fins, and still uses Gravija and some other just kind of level 1 spells, which is, again, it's kind of like, okay, kind of a little
It's
strange.
pretty weak.
Yeah,
I
and
think it just uses it on the whole party. Does, around 200 to 500 damage, I think, somewhere around there.
obviously the only difference with the Fins is you can't move away. So you will get hit by Gravija, and it's gonna, gosh, three-fourths of your health. It's gonna hit quite hard, but there's not so much of a, like you mentioned. If you were then to attack the Fin afterwards, you could easily get a game over because boom, it'll just kill everyone with so low of health. Here,
Yeah.
not quite as bad, but after you take out the core as well, the 2 rewards for these 2 fights are a Return Sphere and an MP Sphere. So this is pretty good rewards. I mean, they're really just. They're letting you know, hey, here's some stuff to bulk your characters up now at this point in the game.
Yeah. And the MP sphere is for Sin Spawn Janaeus. I don't think you have to break the damage limit to overkill him.
No, I don't think so.
So 2 MP spheres, pretty nice for that. After we beat this one, I guess this was like the final weak spot. It's like, the critical weakness of Sin or something like
Yeah.
that. So his fins are falling off. He had those 2 scenes where they blast the fins off of him. They fall off somewhere. And now Sin is basically in a free fall, and there's like this blue sort of like dust, like powerfly stuff coming off
Yeah.
of his fin. And it's this crazy scene again. Another really awesome FMV.
we didn't even discuss the fact that, like, okay, so Sin can fly, like, okay, I get swim and all that,
Yeah.
but, like, this is the first instance
Yeah.
where it's like, oh, so Sin can fly, okay.
Yeah, it's a space whale, man.
Yeah, it's just up
Can do
there
everything.
floating around.
It can swim, it can fly. But, it's really funny. While it's on its free fall here, we see it basically like we're kind of getting away from it at this point in the airship because, like, okay, this thing's going down. And it crashes right near, or like pretty much
Dude,
right on
it's
Bavel.
on, yes. It's not like in the center,
It's
but
not
it
near.
is on Bavel. It's
Yeah.
like, whoops, we just killed a bunch of
Yeah.
people. Didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, and it even shows you in the scene, there's like people and they see the shadow of Sid as it's coming down. It's almost like the meteor scene from Final Fantasy VII
Yeah.
where it's like crashing down on them. It's like, oh god, run for your lives, I guess.
Yeah, there's Titus down there. Sorry. No, I mean, funny enough, Yeah, the party got off Sin somehow. They killed this weak point.
We jumped.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I guess they
guess they
jumped
jumped
off because the
again.
next thing, yeah, because the next thing you know, they're pretty much like on the airship. They're back on the deck now, and it sort of pans to them, and they're all standing there looking cool.
And at this point, I think it goes into the cabin. So we're on the bridge, and they're kind of discussing, like, okay, so, whoa, wow, we actually just did this. But they're kind of figuring, Sin's most likely only weakened. There's no way we probably actually killed it, and we still just need to actually get inside of it.
I love Riku here. She's like, "Yeah, we're winning." It's like, well, Riku, we'll find out in a minute here.
Yeah.
Don't forget.
A little premature.
Sin has don't forget the attack that Sin just used like 15 minutes ago, where it froze the entire planet, and the massive cataclysmic attack. But anyways, gotta admire her enthusiasm here.
Heck yeah.
But this is a point where you kind of have free reign again. You can move Titus around. You can go talk to them. You can save. You can go talk to Rin in the hallway. He's still just chilling there. Or you could progress the story a little bit.
Yeah, gotta head back outside again. So head back outside. It's only Yuna out there. And I think she's just kind of reflecting on everything, right? So first, she's kind of thinking about the faith, like, and what Bahamut told them is like, use us, we'll help you. And she's like, but aren't they already helping us? Like, what does he mean by that? Because, they're already helping us. But then she kind of figured, she's like, if Yu Yevon merges with the final Aeon, maybe he'll just merge with a different Aeon that she summons. And so, boom, man, look at that. Why didn't we just have Yuna thinking about, like, Titus and Riku, you guys are stupid. It took Yuna like 2 minutes to figure this out.
Yeah, she's majorly foreshadowing something, let's just say.
Yeah.
Essentially, it just boils down to Yu Yevon, it can hide wherever it wants to, but we're just going to keep on beating whatever it possesses, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah. And there's another thing she's kind of piecing together. She remembers what she says, what is Yu Yevon summoning from within Sin, And so she's kind of thinking about this some more, and she kind of mentions something about, like, the dream or something. I'm getting across, but she does talks to Titus, and she's like, you're not going to disappear, are you?
Which begs the question, right? I'm just thinking about this. If Titus is a summon, then can't Yu Yevon possess Titus?
Yeah. Yeah.
so that would be the one thing they wouldn't be able to defeat, right? Because they couldn't.
I can't kill you. But. So Yuna does put together that Titus is, he's probably going to be disappearing, but Riku's like, he's back, or Sid's back or something. And so Sin is just kind of, I think he's like he's elevating at that point or just moving, they just know. But back inside, Orin's like, Jet's waiting for you.
Yeah, we get another really cool FMV, and you see it kind of lift up out of crashing into Bavel. We don't see any of the people that were crushed by him, but we see Sid. Basically, it like unfolds these massive wings, almost like an Alexander type of summon. It's really cool.
It's just kind of one of those things where, it's classic protagonist-antagonist behavior in any story, just about anything. You also will watch it in WWE WrestleMania. You'll see this too. Someone's like a big bad thing, and they get their butt kicked forever, and then it's like, it's not until they get their butt kicked that they're like, and they start going to Hulkamania, and it's like, okay, couldn't you have just done that from the start, and you would have won? You would have never gotten your butt kicked to begin with.
Yeah, exactly. And it is like that too. It's like that kind of thing where they knock him out, they knock out the nemesis, and then they're like, celebrating and everything. They think it's over. In the background, they're getting back up. It's like, nope, final round. Here we go.
Yep, exactly.
It's kind of the same vibe going on here.
Here we go. You go back outside once again, and you get a line from Titus, I'm coming for you, Dad. Okay, well, since like he's like, I'm shaking, you cry, baby, and stuff, and
like, bring it.
This fight's actually a little different. So now we're actually going like face to face, and we're once again kind of being pulled in. There's nothing we can do. This is kind of an interesting thing. So you do start far away, no physical, you can't do anything for a while. It actually takes like maybe 3 or 4 turns, maybe, to get kind of close enough for melee range.
Yeah, basically this whole fight is a battle against time, essentially. So this is the one, we were talking about how easy those ones were before, since Spawn Janaeus. Well, it was priming you for this. So this is a race against time. It pulls you in over a certain number of turns. I'm not exactly sure how many, but you really, really want to be doing damage while it continues to pull you in, because the whole time this is going on, it has an overdrive gauge. Can't let it get an overdrive. It doesn't even use an attack. It's just a straight game over. I guess it uses that attack that it was showing off earlier, and it just destroys the world or something. But yeah, it's a game over.
Yeah, and so you'll see that charging. Of course, once you get into range, like it'll start to do different things. I think even maybe at range, it still has like this explosion counterattack. It does. It just I don't know how to explain it. It's an explosion. It hits all party members, but dude, it's pretty nasty.
I got a note, like, this thing has like 12 eyes. Like
yeah, we said it before, but it's freaky, man.
Yeah. This part is really weird because they're all moving independently, all like kind of in different directions. It's really weird. Anyways, that explosion counter you were talking about, yes, I think it only uses it once you get in within a certain range, but it's a pretty nasty one, like you said, because it's not necessarily the damage that sucks, it's the fact that it inflicts one of 3 really annoying statuses. It's either going to be Confuse, Zombie, or Petrify. So it's not ever going to be all 3 like a mixed bag. It's going to be an attack that will either do the Confuse, Petrify, or Zombie independently.
Yeah.
30% chance.
And it's not on every attack. It does. You wrote down every 3 moves. I'd agree. I think it's about that. So thankfully, it's not every time. Another ability it has is Gaze. I actually didn't encounter this in mine, so it might not use it. Just does a lot of, I believe, single target damage, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, like you said, it is a damage race. It's got 140,000 health, so that is the single most. I mean, Unaliska had about that, but she was in 3 phases, so this is just the 1 phase. Guys, if you ever just want to do a 3-character mow over the game challenge, just use Yuna and Lulu. Once I got close enough, Kamara used Mental Break. Of course, I'm blasting them all along the way. I just started blasting, right?
Yeah.
But used Mental Break, Focus, and I just started double casting August spells. Dude, he was dead so quick.
Yeah.
About 8,000 on double, right? So on 1 turn, you're doing like 32,000 health. Boom, do that 4 turns, over.
Exactly. I think the tendency for a lot of people is to use physical attacks when you're close range like this and everything, but that's a really good strategy, man. Magic is super powerful in this game if you do that exactly like you said, Mental Break plus Focus. Again, I love those abilities that raise your stats. Focus is like Cheer, where you can use it up to 5 times, increasing your stats. It's powerful, man. It's really powerful, especially like if you taught Yuna Black Magic, like you said. So.
And I'm not even to Flare yet, or anything like that. And you could possibly have broken the damage cap at this point. I mean, if you just did a bunch of the different side stuff before you came and fight Sin, and so definitely do it. But overall, if you're just doing traditional and you're just doing it, I mean, I'm pretty sure I've gamed over here multiple times. This is not an easy fight, especially like the first few playthroughs.
Yeah, exactly. If you're able to do this, another note on this guy, it's another break damage limit overkill. So for this one, if you want 2 level 3 key spheres, then you're going to have to do definitely over the quad 9. So something like attack reels again would be good. But, once you're able to beat this thing again, we get another just really awesome scene where basically, I guess we're going in through the mouth.
Yeah, I know, right?
I don't know. I mean,
so Titus was right this whole time? It's like
that's what it looks like, right? It looks like it's sort of a portal of fireflies.
Dude, yeah, it's
that we're gonna fly into, but you can't really see where we're going because it's a giant bright light.
So I mean, I can't even talk right now because it's like, okay, so we just had to beat Jet into submission to get this out. I mean, like, why didn't you just do this from the get-go, man? Like, come on, you would have saved us a lot of time and effort and a lot of lives down in Bevelle.
Yeah, I kind of think like he's not fully in control or something. He's under the influence, so to speak.
Yeah, he's been sipping off on some of that orange moonshine, but yes, dude, it's crazy seeing. I mean, because he just sits there, he opens his mouth, just breathes out like there's this immense amount of fireflies, and like I say, it somehow creates a portal. And I was thinking about this, I was like, so is this how Orin got back there? I mean, how did Orin travel to Xanarkand? Because I mean, I don't know, it's just kind of a strange thing.
That's a good point. No, you're bringing up some good points, man. I mean, it's that kind of thing of like, okay, he voluntarily transported Orin and Titus without having a fight.
Yeah.
So why doesn't he just give us a break? But it can't be that easy, right? We gotta fight Overdrive
Yeah.
soon.
I mean, of
The
course you gotta
game,
fight it.
I guess, just plot line. It's that kind of thing where we could
Sure.
sit here and we could split hairs on logic all day. Of why would Jack do this and not do this? Yeah, it's a game. It just we have to go with it. One thing I will say about this too, does this not remind you of that scene from Final Fantasy IX where we break the gateway to Terra? Or kind of going through
Yeah.
the portal.
Yeah, it does.
Same kind of thing.
It's a crazy thing because, yeah, I mean, once you actually, I guess, get through whatever this cloud is or whatever portal or thing we went through, but you're just kind of like in this open airspace, and it's not necessarily outer space, but just this kind of just wide open, giant airspace, and of course everyone's like, huh? Huh? What?
Yeah, I
Huh?
love the sound effects. Like, what's going on? What's happening? It's like, guys, we know what's gonna happen here.
We did what you said, Tyus. We drove through the mouth, man. Why are you surprised now? It's like, dang.
It's
But
the easy way.
and as we go, because we're all still just out in the deck, and as we go, oh dude, some crazy thing starts happening. You just start hearing this laugh, and then you see giant Seymour's face. And it's kind of like transparent, so we fly through it and stuff, but it's just like, dude, I thought this dude was dead. It's like, gosh darn it, man, we fought him 3 times.
Somehow, because he's unsent, I guess he's able to sort of like go inside Sin without having to actually beat Sin. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you're right. It is kind of funny because you see his face and then it kind of like teleports. The portal is like into his eye or something. Major foreshadowing going on here. When is this guy ever going to go away?
I mean, seriously. Yeah, well, and then that kind of ends the scene, and so we're at like we're at like the landing zone or something. This is inside Sin. This is what's inside this guy. It looks like there's like kind of clouds and like some mist around, and then there's just stairs. It's like I thought there'd be a lot more like intestines and guts and other things. So it's like no, he's a void on the inside.
There's a lot of water.
Yeah, that's
So I
true.
guess
Yeah,
it's
there's
just
like standing water.
90% water, 10% fog. I don't know.
It's bizarre. Yeah, it's so strange. You're like, okay, so this is inside the beast. Okay, all right.
And a lot of like glyphs and things like that.
Yeah.
It's a weird place. We'll get into that. At this point, we're kind of trying to do a little bit of the side quest stuff. So we're actually gonna talk about the celestial mirror. So we talked about getting the cloudy mirror for the Chocobo race at Remium Temple. So now we're gonna tell you guys what to do with that so you can actually start getting your celestial weapons.
You gotta do this little side thing. So you actually gotta go to Macalania. I and you go back to the start. So actually, when you go now to Macalania, it starts you at Lake Macalania at Rinse Travel Agency rather than the beginning. So you just gotta walk back. There's a nice little side path that's like some stars floating in the air that you can walk on. So that's a short little shortcut that you can take. There's there's a child and a mother that are just kind of standing near the entrance, and you gotta talk to them to find out that, man, their dad and the husband, he's missing.
Yeah, exactly. They're standing right at the beginning where Lucille and Elma were standing at that fork in the road, basically right at the beginning of Macalania Woods. So all you really have to do here, you just got to find this guy. It turns out that he's at that campsite.
The guy is 50 feet away and he's lost. Time to get yourself a new man. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing. It's like they're literally 50 feet away. You can go tell him you found a campsite. So all you have to do, you find him in there, tell him that his family is looking for him. He'll run out. You go follow back there. Okay, so now the husband and the wife are together. Now the kid's missing.
Yeah, what the heck, dude? Your dad's missing. We're
What?
like, we'll go find him, and you're like, all right, he's got to handle him out. He bounces.
Yeah. And then the kid.
This lady needs to keep track of her family. What's going on here?
Man, she's got to keep like tracking devices on these
She needs
guys
to
or
get like
something
those
for
leash
real.
backpacks and put them on her husband and her son, so that way she's feels the
Harness
tug.
on 'em.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unbelievable.
But yeah, basically, this one isn't too difficult because the crystal path, like you were just talking about, the magical little air floating crystal path, you just follow that up, get to a kind of a split in the road, like a T section, and the kid's just standing right there, and he's saying, it's like, I feel like something special is around here, something along those lines, alluding to the giant crystal, I guess, in front of him.
It looks like a giant plant pod, is what it looks like.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, you're a immense, powerful being. Whatever. Nothing surprised me at this point in this game, and so it's kind of interesting. And it gives the option of presenting it, and you present it, and you hold it in there, and bing, it upgrades to celestial mirror. Woo! First it's cloudy, now it's celestial.
Nice. So what's interesting with this is that every weapon, and we've even been coming across some of these key items that we talked about sporadically throughout the story. Things like the Sun Crest, the Jupiter Crest, the Moon Crest, and things of that nature. So basically, every character has a planet, or in Titus's case, the sun associated with it, or like moons or whatever, So,
celestial bodies.
They're celestial bodies, exactly. So Titus is represented by the sun, Waka is Jupiter, Moon is Una, Mars is Orion, Saturn, Kamari, Venus, Lulu, and Mercury, Riku.
I think this whole thing is pretty cool, don't you? I mean, for ultimate weapon kind of a deal, it's very intricate. It's kind of all related. It's like it's kind of themed. I think it's pretty sweet. And some of these are not easy to get. Of course, we've already been over a lot of the harder ones and stuff. Of course, we've been getting some of the weapons and stuff. Nirvana, again, I mentioned, you get that through the monster, and we aren't going to exactly go into a lot of super deep detail here and all this stuff. But yeah, you capture all the fiends in the Calm Lands, and you get Nirvana, right? Something like the Onion Knight. We talked about Gioscano. Like, once you beat him, it'll be down there. And we got a couple other ones. One that we talked about, because we did it, when we said, we're not going to be talking about this for a long time. You got to go back to the Thunder Plains and open up that chest that we did for those cactars. Remember, we did that, and we're like, okay, well, you can't open it. And, well, now you can. The whole premise with this is that you need the mirror in order to open up the chest.
Yes, exactly. So basically, in short, these are their ultimate weapons. And so these are really, really hard to get. Like you just said, you need the celestial mirror to even open them. It does give you a prompt. When you find the chest, it'll say something like you need something to open it, or if you have the cloudy mirror, I think it even says that there's like a slight reaction or something like that. But it's not enough regardless. Yeah, there's different locations for all of these. We went over God Hand.
Yep, in which now, I think when we went over, we're like, well, you can't open it yet. Well, again, now you want to go in and go ahead and get that.
Right, now you can go and get it. And just a quick rundown of these. Kalidbolg, all you really need to do there is, basically we talked about going through the training on that, training the Chocobo. So you get to the catcher Chocobo portion, and you just basically have to beat the Chocobo trainer, which isn't too difficult. I think it's her dad that says, he was the one supposed to be guarding the gorge at the north end, the northwest section there. There's a little trail that goes down to a small part in the gorge. You can use the celestial mirror on like a glyph, and you get the Kalidbolg for that.
And world champion for Waka, you just gotta talk to the barkeep in the Luca, where Kamari knocked out whatever, be Ron or Yankee, and what is it? You just gotta win a certain amount of games, right? Do you happen to know how many?
It's a certain amount. I don't know exactly. That's what I looked up. I'd say a few tournaments at least, something like that. But it's not a crazy amount or anything. But the bottom line with the world champion is you're going to end up playing enough to get it, just to try and get the sigil anyways, which we'll get to. And then Masamune is kind of interesting because we talked about the Rusty Sword when we talked about the Cavern of the Stolen Faith. You just take that over to the Lord Mihan's statue on Mushroom Rock Road, use it there, you get the Masamune.
Yeah, pretty cool. We talked about Spirit Lance and Onion Knight and God Hand, and it's pretty cool. You get these weapons, and it's so interesting because if you don't know too much and you just get the weapon and you'll look at it and like the only thing on it is no AP. And you're like, okay, and
Yeah,
you're not able to
yeah,
customize it or nothing like that. So you're kind of just like first like, well, this weapon sucks. It's like,
yeah.
well, yes and no. Of course, it does at first, but now we get the crests and the sigils. They come into play here.
Right,
So, two
right.
upgrades, obviously, one for the crest, one for the sigil. And the crest upgrade's the first one that you have to do, and it's a smaller one. And even then, I think it still just adds on some things, but it's still no AP, right?
You hit the nail on the head. Basically, you have these two upgrades. You use the crest and the sigil. Crests are the easy ones to get, and they don't give you much. So when you use a crest, it'll still be no AP, and it'll give you something like, to be honest, not very useful.
Maybe like
I think
double
it's
overdrive
SOS.
or.
Yeah, I think it's like SOS or something like that. So you still wouldn't even want to use it after using the crest for good reason because they're very easy. Most of them are just chests. When we
Yeah.
start talking about the sigils, we start getting into some of these very challenging and extremely irritating side quests
Oh, yes.
or mini games.
Oh boy, we won't talk that much about most of them because we kind of have throughout the natural story that we've done. Like we already talked about Titus's the Sun Sigil, right? You got to get that time of 0 across the board for the trainer race. The Waka, this one, dude, I'd say this one's probably one of the more time-consuming ones, right? Because like you said,
Oh
you just
yeah,
got to
for
play
sure.
so much Blitzball because you got to get World Champion itself and then have all
Yeah.
of the reels. And that in itself is like, gosh, I mean, sometimes it'll take a long time to get Oryx reels.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think they're tournament prizes, if I'm not mistaken. But
Yeah, sounds
regardless,
right.
you've got to get attack reels. You've got to then get status reels. Then you got to get Oryx reels. And after that, this is the most annoying part because generally speaking, what will have happened is the Jupiter Sigil is going to be a league prize. And at this point, you probably already got a league going without that being the prize, and you can't reset a league like you can reset a tournament. So, yeah,
So you got
that's
so you got
the
to finish
experience.
off that league, and then you have to do the
Yeah,
other league.
that's what happened to me. It is a real pain the way they do that, but that generally speaking is what you have to do. So you end up pretty much playing about 30 games to have
Yep.
to get the sigil. So like you said, extremely time consuming.
Which is where our Blitzball All-Star teams come into play, guys. If you want that
Yeah,
Blitzball, just go quick.
that's what
That
I had to
is
do.
specifically why we tailored those. Yuna's, I'd say, is probably one of the easier ones to get. You just gotta beat all of Belgamine's Aeons, which once I got Anima,
Nice.
I went
Hey,
back and dude, he mops the floor
yeah,
with all of them. And to beat
yeah.
Anima, just use Yojimbo and pay the man.
I know. I gotta be honest. That one really, I just don't get. It's not challenging. Let's be
No.
real, because there's nothing inhibiting from using Anima or even Yojimbo. I mean,
Dude
heck,
does like
I think I
15,
was going.
17,000 a hit,
Yeah.
man. It's insane.
Oh, I mean, I think I was going easy. I usually go easy on Belgamina, and I still don't have a hard time beating her Aeon.
Yeah.
So I
I'm only
don't
gonna
know
use
unless you're doing a
Valifor. I'm gonna
zombie.
still take you out.
Yeah, dude, you could
Yeah,
easily. I mean, her Aeons, they just
they
don't
don't do any
do enough
damage.
damage.
Yeah, it's kind of like
Right.
Isarus. They have a
So,
lot of health, but they just don't really do very much.
yeah, they're totally weak. It's like they'll get to an overdrive. All you have to do is defend. They'll end up doing like 200 damage.
Yeah,
So
yeah, pretty annoying.
I don't know. Yeah, and then Orin is similar. His crest is going to be at the Mihin Gorge. But the sigil on this one also is pretty time consuming. Maybe second to Waka's.
Yeah,
You've got to get, it's a monster arena prize where you capture one of every fiend from at least 10 different areas. So that's pretty annoying because your easy ones, your gimmies, are going to be, Besaid,
yeah,
Kilika,
3 monsters.
right, Mihan, ones like that where there's not that many. But you start getting into some tricky areas where you have to get Thunder Plains, for example. You got to get the Quacktars or whatever the heck
Yeah.
you call them. Things like that. But basically, that's how you get Orans.
And it's 10 different areas, so I mean, you pretty much
Yeah.
have to hit up almost every single area just to get them. But definitely start at the bottom of the list. Kamari's, we found the crest that was in the columns at Gagazet after we took on Seymour. So we mentioned that one's pretty easy to walk by, but luckily that one easy to pick up. And then we also talked about his sigil. That's the butterfly catcher. We went over that in the Makalani episode. So that
Yeah.
not too bad. His is luckily like one of those kind of easier ones again.
Yep, once you memorize the path, it's not too bad. It's pretty much just slightly more difficult than the original butterfly catching game that you did even the first time you came through here. So that one's not too bad, but this one, man,
Never
oh,
done it
this one,
my whole
I
life.
know you love this one. And it's funny too because we talk about this, me and Mark, we talk about like which ones we really hate. And for me personally, I got to be honest, it's the Sun Sigil with the Chocobo trainer trying to get less than zero. But this is your least favorite,
Dude,
right?
we're like
Lulu's
opposites here. You're just like, I'll knock
yeah.
out 200 consecutive thunder dodges, no problem. Me, on the other, I'm like, gosh, I've tried a couple of times in the past. I've never made like a legit stab, and not with your tactic either. I don't know if we still have the video. We can get it out there, maybe put it out again. But I remember Alex did have that kind of one spot that is pretty good. It just lightning seems to hit in the same spot, and you just go in circles. But it's just like, I just not for me.
It's very boring, and I will say, don't try to count. Don't try to count, guys. Whenever I try to count, I lose concentration. That's what happens. So generally speaking, what I do with this, I have a spot where the lightning, and that's all you really have to do. You're not going to be trying to get 200 consecutive thunder dodges randomly, okay? There's just no way you're going to have the
Good
reflexes to do
luck.
that. Just going to say. Exactly. I don't know how you do that. But the key with the thunder planes is that if you run around certain areas, you'll find that actually the thunder strikes they hit the exact same point at the exact same time. Like say you choose a spot and you just start doing a loop, you'll notice a pattern, and that's how I do it. I mean, I just literally run around this couple of craters, and it hits at the two spots exactly the same time. You just zone out, and before you know it, you'll have 250, sometimes even 300. Heck, but that's the crazy thing. That the risky thing is you want to make sure you have. I would do it for about 10 to 12 minutes. Set a timer and do that. You should have 200 because you don't want to quit too early in case you're at like 193. That would really suck. You'd go over there, you'd see, oh, I didn't get the chest. You go in and check how many. 193 or something.
Yeah.
I've been there. It's really painful. You don't want to do this more than one time.
Yeah, absolutely. And her crest was just in Guado Salami in the far plane. We went over that. Riku's is, we also talked about the Mercury crest. It's just in one of the treasures on Beacon L. And so the sigil, though, this is another kind of annoying one. It's not particularly long or time consuming. It's just kind of more annoying than anything, in my opinion. But it's the whole
annoying.
Cactar village thing. Oh, and we haven't gone over that yet, so we'll go over it. Yeah. But oh man,
we'll go over this in more detail. The red light, green light game, yeah, very annoying. I will say for the sigil, you don't have to win these. That's the nice thing. So it's time consuming, but it shouldn't be difficult because you don't actually have to win. But it's this little mini game where you're Titus and the camera is flipped to him basically. Yes. So it's not behind him, it's facing him. And there's a Cactar in front and it sits there and it turns around and says needle time and you have to stop. Otherwise you fail. You get 3 tries. You have to make your way up to the Cactar and touch it, and then you get into a battle. It's this whole thing. It's very annoying.
Yeah, it is. And of course, we'll go into detail on that. So we'll cover those. And honestly, I think we'll probably start out next episode going over these. I think that'd be a good idea. Yeah, because, it's one thing to talk about the weapons, but they do have really, really good abilities on them. And yes, they're not necessarily the ultimate weapons that you could create, but in order to get a lot of those items that you would need for that, you're going to need these weapons. You're going to have these. It's just going to be one of those things that really help you get to customizing better ones. So, all right. Well, that is going to do it for this episode. We would like to just thank you all for spending time and listening to our podcast. We always enjoy the support. We have a website, FinalStop.FinalFantasyTalks.com, just some more info if you're interested. We do have the social medias, kind of as we mentioned throughout this episode on Instagram. We're going to be posting these clips and stuff, so if you just kind of like seeing these content and talking about it and all that, definitely hit up some Instagram and check out our posts.
Yeah, hopefully you guys get a kick out of those.
Yes. We always like a little humor approach, as you all know.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll catch you all in the next episode. I'm Mark.
And I'm Alex.
And this is Final Stop for Final Fantasy Talks.